Good morning, everyone. It's Monday, June 9th, 2025. My name is Sam Shalhoub, and it's time for your daily dispatch. First up, Bitcoin Treasury Company, Trump Media, registered up to $12 billion in new securities over the weekend. President Trump is preparing a large-scale cancellation of federal funding for California. Now, there was quite a bit going on here over the weekend, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I find it interesting that this proposition that President Trump made to the state of California concerning their funding, and then all of a sudden we have what popped off over the weekend here. According to Zero Hedge, India's central bank shocked the biggest rate cut since COVID as growth and inflation stalled. They cut their repo rate by 50 basis points. That's a huge drop. Over the weekend, the Supreme Court restored Doge's access to Social Security data. Also, over the weekend, President Trump signed an order on deregulating flying cars and supersonic flight. Now, we're going to get into what happened here in Los Angeles over the weekend. It started off on Friday and Saturday. Federal agents clashed with protesters in Paramount, California, which is just a few miles from where I live. This is over the weekend. Witnesses said that it looked like a war zone. There were riots in ICE detention centers in LA and in New York City over the weekend. I went out yesterday and from probably 8 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon was trying to find any type of skirmishes to report on live. Couldn't find anything. Once I got back home, it all broke loose. So we had the White House come out yesterday and say the members and units of the National Guard were called into federal service, at least 2,000 National Guard personnel, and the duration of duty would be around 60 days, and it would be at the discretion of the Secretary of Defense. In addition, the Secretary of Defense may employ any other members of the regular armed forces as necessary to augment and support the protection of federal functions and property in any number determined appropriate at his discretion. They're referring to Pete Hegseth. And then as things escalated yesterday, they escalated in downtown Los Angeles, they escalated in multiple areas. President Trump came out and said that he was directing the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, and Attorney General Pam Bondi in coordination with all other relevant agencies to take all such action necessary to liberate Los Angeles from the migrant invasion and put an end to these migrant riots. Now, I would call your attention to Article 2 of the Constitution. He is well within his power to do this, in my opinion. And then as things escalated, thousands of protesters waving Mexican flags poured onto the 101 freeway, completely stopping traffic. And for those of you who don't know, the 101 freeway is a very busy thoroughfare throughout Los Angeles. And they were also on the 110 freeway, which it just completely backed everything up. There was tear gas, there was shock bombs, there was all kinds of things that took place. And it looks like they quelled, for the most part, the riots, but not before multiple vehicles were lit on fire and police and ICE were attacked. There were also Department of Homeland Security Black Hawk helicopters that were observed. It was not pretty, but I think that there's much more going on behind the scenes than most people realize. Now, we will be discussing this at length at 9 a.m. Pacific time during our live broadcast, so hopefully you can join us and get in on the discussion. So, that's all we have for today. If you'd like to support this channel, go to samshalhoub.com. There's multiple ways to do it. Or go to mypillow.com and use the discount code SAM. Get 80% off of all of your purchases. And in the meantime, I hope you have a great week, and we'll talk again soon.